And welcome back to the Daily Dribble podcast, guys. As always, I'm your host, Nick Zammit, here back with another action-packed episode as we delve ever deeper into the 2024-2025 NBA season. A big episode in store today. Kind of last week went through and recapped some of the teams and players that were either surpassing expectations or falling short of them. This week, I've gone for a similar kind of theme, yet more transitioning to more of the player-based expectations. So some have certainly been surpassing my expectations and many other pundits out there, while some others have been falling dramatically short. Today I'm going to look at a couple of each and just assess the lay of the land, whose stocks are on the up and who are on the down. Before we get into that, though, a big shout out to both Stadium Scene and The Cover, both those networks continuing to showcase all of my work here at the Daily Dribble, as well as a whole host of other content creators in and around Australia, New Zealand, the US and Canada. As I say, week in and week out, I'm very appreciative for all their continued hard work and support. Likewise to all of you guys tuning in and week out, whether it be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube, or following all the socials on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. I know a lot of you guys have been tuning into the TikTok lives recently. If you're not already, there's something I'm trying to do nearly on a daily basis or every couple of days. Going through and recapping all the day's action, all the results, all the notable storylines. So if you're not already, go follow the Daily Dribble TikTok account to get those live videos as well. Okay, let's not stand on ceremony. I just wanted to go through quickly. Now, it's been a common theme since the start of this season. Injuries have been running rampant. This week has been no exception. So today, as opposed to a normal odds and end segment, I've kind of got written down a couple of injuries that have taken place over the course of the last week or so, and I want to put it to you guys out there. Hit me up on those socials that I just mentioned a moment ago. I'd love to hear from you which one you think is going to be the most detrimental. So let's get into that. As I said, there's a few here to rip through. Firstly, after just getting Joel Embiid back the other day, the 76ers will now be without Tyrese Maxey for a couple of weeks with a right hamstring injury. Now, across 7 games to start the season, he had been averaging 27.5 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal and a half per game. He was having a scintillating start, especially without Paul George, without Embiid, George coming back the other week. He has really put this team on his shoulders, and despite it not bearing fruitful in the win column, he really has carried this team to at least be competitive in a lot of these games. I think this is certainly disappointing given the fact that we still haven't got to see this team at full strength yet. They're a team that's in a dire predicament at the moment. At the time of recording, they just went down yesterday to the New York Knicks, which has them currently sitting at 2-8 on the season. Now, there's not many teams that get out of a hole that deep. And given how some of the East Flyers are going at the moment, they're well and truly off the pace. I personally think, and I think I might have touched on this last week, that should Embiid, should Maxey, should George be healthy, that's a big three that can contend with the best of them. Unfortunately, at this point in time, we haven't seen it yet. As I said, hopefully they can get all three back on the court as soon as possible, but it better be sooner than later because as I said, they're falling off the pace and falling off quickly. And this blow to Maxey only compounds that issue. The next name we have is Zion Williamson. Now, he suffered a hamstring strain as well, and at the moment is out indefinitely. There's no time frame for return. He's going to be reevaluated in the coming weeks. But another guy he's struggled with injuries across the course of his young career thus far. And again, it's really disappointing given the way he started this season. Across 6 games, he was averaging 23 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. And again, a team that had really been struggling with injuries so far, he was more than carrying his weight. Now, with DeJounte Murray, Herb Jones, CJ McCollum, Trey Murphy, all those guys have missed extensive time across the season thus far. Trey Murphy making his return this week, fantastic. But they are in a hole as well. It's certainly not going as many, and myself included, had anticipated. I was very high on this team going into the season, but with how things currently stand, they 3-8 on season. And another, especially in the West as strong as it is, if they fall much further off the pace, I don't think there's a way in which they can, claw things back. At best, they'd probably be hunting for a playing spot. But they've got a lot of work to do and a lot of work to do quickly once some of these names start coming back. Another big name that went down during the week was Chet Holmgren. Now, he suffered a right iliac hip fracture versus the Warriors earlier in the week. So I'm not quite sure what a right iliac hip fracture is, but it's a hip fracture. We'll just go with that in the right hip. A return to play protocol for Chet's going to be provided in 8 to 10 weeks. So a very extensive period there for Chet on the sidelines. He'd been averaging 16.5 points, 8.7 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2.6 blocks per game. Now, for the Thunder, I don't think this is going to be the end of the world for them. They've got plenty of depth. They've got plenty of talent. In the big man stocks, they're a little bit lighter on now. But I think they've got enough talent to keep things afloat. At the time of recording, they're 9-2 on the season, sitting equal top of the Western Conference. But again, it's not ideal. I'll be interested to see how much it affects them over the course of the next 8 to 10 weeks. If they do take a bit of a hit in the standings, I certainly wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. But again, I think they've got enough talent to keep things afloat. Maybe not quite at the top of the standings, given the way the Suns, the Warriors, Denver starting to build momentum. Given how some of these teams are performing, I can see a world in which the Thunder slip down a little bit, but they'll be in and around the mix. And should they make the playoffs, which I have no doubt they will, they're certainly going to be a force to contend with. And the final one I had written down here was the Suns will be without Kevin Durant. He suffered a left calf strain and will be reevaluated in 2 weeks' time. Now, again, thankfully not a large period of time. At 36 years of age, though, he has built up a bit of a track record in recent years of injuries. Does come a bit of concern with that. As at the time of injury, the Suns were 8-1. KD was playing at borderline MVP level. He was getting a little bit of early talk. But I don't know. I think the Suns, this is kind of their year. I think that's the best they've looked. They currently sit top of the Western Conference at 9-2. I think they've got enough firepower there in Bill, and Booker, Tyus Jones, if he can score a little bit more, Nurkic. I think they're going to be well poised enough to keep things afloat whilst KD's out, as I alluded to, hopefully not for an extensive period of time. But again, detrimental still. And certainly for his push as an MVP candidate, this certainly puts a bit of a blow in that. So there you have it, guys. I want to throw it to you. Tyrese Maxey, Zion Williamson, Chet Holmgren, or Kevin Durant. Which one of these injuries are going to have the biggest impact on their respective teams? I personally think it's Zion. I think at the moment for the 76ers, Embiid coming back, George coming back, I think that tandem will hopefully be able to rattle off some wins and get them, approaching back towards 500. For Chet and the Thunder, I think, again, they've got enough talent to keep things afloat, likewise with the Suns and KD. Given where Zion and the Pelicans are at the moment, the Pelicans, with their extensive injury list and their injury list to their heavy hitters, as I said, Murray, Herb Jones, CJ McCollum, Zion now on the sidelines as well. I think their season is heading off a cliff. I don't know if there's going to be any way back for them. By the time they get some of these names back, I think it'll be too far gone for them. But nevertheless, guys, hit me up on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok this week. Would love to hear which injury you think will be the most detrimental there. Okay, let's push ahead.
Daily Dribble.
Okay, so this is a little segment called Players on the Up, Players on the Down. Now, I've got 4 players listed here, 2 on the up, 2 on the down, who I think are either performing better than expected or worse than expected. And as always, as I just mentioned with the segment a moment ago, I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. Players you think their stocks are on the up, or players that you'd be looking to sell off and as they're on the way down at the moment. Let's start firstly with a player that I believe is certainly on the up. It is Norman Powell. He has had an incredible start to the season, is currently leading the Clippers in scoring, playing some of the best ball of his career, undoubtedly. Now, across the season thus far, he's averaging 26 points, 3 rebounds, 2.5 assists, plus a steal and a half a game, was going 50.5% from 3 at 8.5 attempts per game. These are absolutely crazy numbers, given the best season of his career. He averaged 19.6 points across the 2021-2022 season. Now, they've certainly needed this output in Kawhi's absence. They're currently sitting at 6-5 on the season. He has been startling, and it's just come out that when Kawhi comes back, Powell is going to keep that starting spot as well, which certainly warrants. Now, I think if they can hover around 500, when Kawhi comes back, they're going to be a potent team. They can continue to get this or a roundabout level of production out of Norman Powell. They're going to be a scary proposition. You know, James Harden has games where he can go big and score. He's looked fantastic as a playmaker once again, up there in the top assist goers in the league. But they needed that offensive guy to step up, as I said, in Kawhi's absence, and Powell has done that well and truly. 31 years of age, as I said, playing some of the best ball of his career. 26 points a game is nothing to sneeze at. So his stock is certainly on the up. And likewise for me, going into the season, I wasn't that high on the Clippers, but I'm quickly starting to become a bit more of a believer in them. The way their roster's constructed and, you know, the way Harden, Powell are playing, if they can get Kawhi to integrate seamlessly into things, don't count them out just yet. A guy who's currently on the down, and I hate to say this, I really do, because if you're a long-time listener of the show, you'll know how high I am on this guy. It's Tyrese Haliburton. The Pacers certainly haven't set the world alight to start the season. Currently sitting at 5-5. Likewise, Haliburton hasn't been firing compared to the way he has in seasons gone by. Now, last season, he averaged 20 points, 11 assists, on 47% from the field and 36.5% from 3. I'll repeat that again. I might have gone a little bit quick there, but 20 points, 11 assists, 47% from the field, and 36.5% from 3. This season, in its early infancy, he's averaging 16.7 points, 8.3 assists, 41% from the field, so down 6% there, and 27.3% from 3, down nearly 9% there. Still very solid numbers, absolutely. Very, very solid numbers there. 16, nearly 17 points a game and a tick over 8 assists, nothing to sneeze at. But he's certainly not looking as confident and capable as he has in the last couple of years. He's been an all-star across the last 2 years, all-NBA third team last year. He's certainly not looking like that player at the moment. I'm certainly not cashing in my chips on him yet. As I said, I'm very, very high on this guy, so I'm still holding faith that he will rectify things. Apologies there for that little burp, if you caught that one. That's Kamikaze Energy providing the goods at its absolute finest. But the Pacers will need him at his very best if they want to make waves in this Eastern Conference. It is continually getting better. There's teams that certainly better than I had anticipated. You know, in the hierarchy at the moment, they are slipping and slipping quickly. With the team, Haliburton, Siakam, Turner, the kind of big three there. Benedict Mathurin as well stepping up. They've got enough talent to be competitive and make waves, but they don't look like they're going to cause too many headlines with the way they're playing at the moment. And a big catalyst for change, I think, is getting Haliburton firing. So I'll certainly be watching this space very closely to see if he can turn things around. The next player who I have on the up is Grady Dick. He's showing some big dick energy at the moment. Due to the injuries in the Raptors ranks, he's stepped up big time in his second season within the league. Now, last season, he played 60 games and started just 17 of these, played 21 minutes a night and averaged 8.5 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and went 36.5% from 3. Across the season thus far, he's averaged 19 points, 2.5 rebounds, 2.3 assists, and has gone at 37% from 3. Now, mind you, this doesn't take into account his performance versus the Bucks on Wednesday, where he dropped 32 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and went 14 of 16 from the free throw line. He's certainly building into a player that the Raptors will want to keep in that key young core that they're establishing. Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, you put Grady Dick with that has got the makings of quite a dynamic young core. Now, I really hope that when Barnes, Quickley, these guys come back, that Dick still gets the same amount of opportunity and minutes, because he's certainly making the most of them at the minute and is, without a doubt, been one of the surprise packets of the season thus far. Now, I don't know if is it because maybe he plays on the Raptors? I don't know. I didn't really take too much note of him last season. I'm rapidly buying Grady Dick stock at the moment. He has been fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to seeing if this can continue for him. Okay, a player who I have on the down to round this little segment out is Brook Lopez. Now, at the moment, the Bucks are essentially a two-man team. It is Giannis and Dame and just other names on paper. They need a lot more from this supporting cast, and Brook is a huge part of that. He is down in all major categories this season. He's reduced his scoring by 3.5 points per game. He doesn't look as aggressive. Prior to the game versus the Raps the other day, in which they got a win, he was slightly better. But prior to that game, he was averaging 9 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game, while shooting 39.3% from the field. 27.7% from three and 73% from the free throw line. Last season, he shot the ball at 48.5% from the field, 36.6% from three, and 82% from the line. That is a dramatic drop-off in shooting there. He's playing the same amount of minutes as last season, but he really needs to get involved. The Bucks are in a dicey position at the moment. They're currently 12th in the Eastern Conference, sitting at 3-8 on the season. I don't know. I went into the season probably higher than others on them. I thought they could really kind of bounce back. I thought we were going to get the best ball out of Dame's career. I thought Giannis would fire back, and they both have well and truly. But they need more from the supporting cast. They need Middleton back. They need more out of Lopez. They need Taurean Prince to step up. Bobby Portis has been really solid. But the other role players, they just need more. There's only so much Giannis and Dame can do. And at the moment, they're falling well short of expectations. So Brook needs to really turn things around. Be aggressive. Be hungry. Get in the paint and actually go to work. You're a big unit. If you're shooting 39% from the field as a big man, that's not ideal. I know he takes threes, but he's hitting them at under 28%. Get him in the paint, get some easy buckets, get his confidence up, get some touches there in the post, and hopefully that can be a catalyst for him getting this season back on track. There you have it, guys. There are 2 players I think are on the up, 2 players I think are on the down. On the way up is Norman Powell and Grady Dick. On the way down, I think Tyrese Haliburton and Brook Lopez, they're names that really need to step up and help turn the fortunes of their franchises around. Would love to hear from you guys, though, what I got right, what I got wrong there. Who are the players that you would have? Who are you buying stocks in at the moment? And who are you offloading? Let me know, guys. Let's push ahead.
The Daily Dribble.
Into our final little segment, MVP of the week. I don't know, if you guys all had to have a guess before I announce it, just say it in your head, say it out loud, yell at YouTube, yell at Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I reckon you can all have a guess and probably get right who I'm going to say here. It's got to be the Cleveland Cavaliers. Not much more needs to be said. They're the only undefeated team still in the league. They have a record of 12-0. Now, they're starting to reach history-making air. They currently sit 6th on the all-time list behind the 2015-2016 Golden State Warriors. They started their season with a record 24-0 start. The Houston Rockets in 1993-1994 started at 15-0. Likewise, the 1948-1949 Washington Capitals also went at 15-0. 14-0, the Dallas Mavericks in the 2002 and 2003 season, the Mavs there. And in the 1957-1958 season, the Boston Celtics also went 14-0. They are rapidly rising up the ranks. They currently have, in their next couple of games, they've got the Philadelphia 76ers, the Chicago Bulls, and the Charlotte Hornets coming up. There's well and truly a world in which they win all three of those and push this streak to 15-0. That would have them equal second all time. Now, after that, they have the Boston Celtics, which could be a bit of a danger game. But I'm really buying into this. I'm loving this narrative. I'm loving the undefeated side. I'm loving the fact that not a lot of people put stock into them this year, and myself included. I wasn't that high on them. But 12-0, regardless of when this streak ends, they are setting their season up for success. And fair play to them. There was no if, buts, or maybes. They had to be my MVP of the week. And to be honest, depending how the next week goes, they could well and truly be my MVP next week. Very excited to see how the Cavs play out. As I said, they're getting into a pretty restricted airspace there. Not many teams have gone higher than them. Equal sixth all time. Everyone loves following history, and who knows, they could be on for a history-making run here. So keep your eyes peeled on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay, guys, that wraps up another massive episode. Really appreciate you joining me week in and week out. Next week, I'm going to run a mailbag episode. Now, they can be basketball questions, non-basketball questions. Hit me up on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. I'll put a couple of things out during the week. Would love for you to send in your questions. As I said, it can be about the NBA, the NBL, how the season's going thus far, or it can just be anything related. If you want me to, I think last time I answered the meaning of life. Be sure to pose your questions to me. I'm certainly looking forward to tackling anything and everything next week. Till then, though, guys, as I said, be sure to stay up to date with all the socials for all the latest news across the NBA and the NBL. And if you're not already, go follow the TikTok account. If you want to see more of this mug, I am doing these live videos pretty regularly. So I would love for you guys to jump in, give me your thoughts, and we'll go from there. Till next week, though, have a fantastic week, guys. Enjoy another massive week from the NBA and the NBL. I can't wait to break it all down with you again next week. Till then, remember, be good or be good at it. See you guys.